Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar, with a bonus episode this week, an episode of 19 on the Clock Overtime. This episode is focused entirely on the NCAA Volleyball Tournament. I wanted to put this together as we have a number of teams kind of in the general tri-state area that are going to be competing and moving on in the tournament. Some in their first appearance in many years, some who have been on a roll of appearances and competing at the highest level over these last couple of years. I'm doing this episode solo because I was able to sit down with a number of different coaches and players, so we're going to hear directly from them rather than having a back and forth discussion with my normal co-host Jackson, who will be here for our regular episode on Thursday this week, where we'll be talking about football and things like that, and likely bringing up some volleyball discussion as well. Now, let's start off things with right here in Cincinnati, the Xavier Musketeers. They were able to go 26-3 in the regular season this year. Their only losses came to UC, to Creighton, and a home loss to Marquette, where they had split the series with them this year. That is a huge turnaround for a team that had only won about 17 games last year. Let me double check my numbers here. Who had only won 10 games last year and lost 18 of them instead. So that is a huge, huge moment for the Musketeers. This is their first trip to the NCAA tournament since 2007. Alongside that, it's their third overall. The third time ever playing in the tournament. And so I was there the night of Selection Sunday with the Xavier volleyball team, got to see their reactions, and you'll be able to see that here as well. Plus, I was able to sit down with head coach Christy Peffenberger and with outside hitter Emma Grace and talk a little bit about their outlook for the tournament and reflect on the season so far. So let's go ahead and listen to those. So let's just start right off the top. Immediate reaction. Number 8 seed heading up to Pittsburgh, facing off against Michigan to start off the NCAA tournament. How are you feeling heading towards this?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. We're excited for the challenge ahead of us. So yeah, that we're still continuing to play. That's an amazing feeling.
The last time we talked, I think was middle of October. Now finished the Big Ten, not the Big Ten, the Big East tournament. I'm watching too much other volleyball, but finished the Big East tournament. What is there anything? Let me ask you this: have you ever heard of the concept of rose, bud, thorn? Where it's something. So you have rose, something good; bud, something you're looking forward to; thorn, something to fix. What would be those three for you as a coach coming out of that tournament, heading into this? It doesn't have to be too in depth.
Just ultimately thankful for the season that we have had and how hard these girls have worked for this moment, this opportunity. Just incredibly grateful for them and what they've brought to the gym every single day, and the staff and everything that they've brought, and looking forward to, the opportunity to go play in the NCAA tournament. That's what when we set out into season, that's what you hope for every year. You just never know the ebbs and flows of the season and injuries or whatever's going to come kind of in the way of that, bad loss or big time win. So excited for the opportunity to finally do what I know this program has been able to accomplish for years now, and to have a group of girls that put it together and really did it the right way as well. And that's I'm excited for them to have that opportunity. And then the thorn is thinking that, every match is counted, and that's how we've gone through season, but that this fun ride could come to an end. So that's the hard thing to think about, but that's not something that I'm really concerned about. It's just about prepping for the next match. So,
and of course for the seniors, it's going to be their last match as well. It's always tough when it comes down to tournament time. I was going to. The thing that I was going to ask you was the big phrase has been revenge tour for this year. You think it has been a successful revenge tour, or does it set up a little bit more revenge for next year?
I don't think we're done yet this year. I really don't. I really don't think we're done yet this year with our mission. Each step has only motivated us to work harder and to build more. And then next year is going to be next year. You know, we're going to stay focused in the here and the now. And then when we come back in January, we'll refocus that group. But I think this season we're not done yet. So, yeah.
And signing day was just recently. Are you feeling confident about the players that?
Very excited, yeah. Very excited for the 4 that we have coming in and what they're going to add to our gym and what we've been able to accomplish this year. And I think what this group has really found out that, you know, starters, non-starters, whatever it is, like, we're here because of everyone in our team. And those 4 that we have coming in are only going to add a bit more value to our practice gym. So it's going to be fun. So, yeah.
I'll wait for the horn to stop before I continue. But, lastly, any message for fans out there if they're considering heading up to Pittsburgh to come and watch you guys, things like that?
It'll be a fun match. I mean, if you're on the court or on our bench, like, we're fun to watch. So it'll be a good time.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So just to start off, 8 seed for Xavier Volleyball. You guys are going to be heading up to Pittsburgh to play Michigan. What's kind of your first reaction with that?
Honestly, I'm just really excited. I know we're all super excited. Seeing our school up on that screen was something that we've been working for since January, so it's just a very, like, fulfilling feeling for sure.
And coaches told me about your guys' revenge tour, and I know that you guys have mentioned it as well in other interviews and things like that. How does it feel like that has been accomplished so far this year? Does it feel like the tournament is just another step in that tour? What kind of is the next goal in your guys' eyes?
No, yeah, this is definitely just a next step, and we're certainly not done. For us, the revenge tour was taking back those games that we feel like we should have won last year. And I think it's easy for a lot of teams, and we've definitely said it in the past, like, this is going to be our year, but it's easier said than done. And I think that it's extremely impressive that we were able to actually fulfill that first step and take us into this next step in the NCAA tournament.
Where do you think that the biggest step in that goal was? Was it on the court play? Was it off the court in the locker room? Building camaraderie between the team and things like that.
I think it was the way we carried what we learned and what we did in practice into the game. I think we have such a competitive group of girls. Like, playing ourselves in the gym is what wins us those games out there. And I don't think a lot of teams have that type of competition in the practice gym. So I think that's really the biggest step for us in that revenge tour.
So it's going to be obviously something you guys are going to be focusing on before you head out to Pittsburgh. For you, just as a player, just looking at the regular season, I know obviously that you still have more to come with the playoffs, but when you look at like that regular season, where your stats are at, things like that, how you have played so far this year, do you think that you have met the goal that you set for yourself at the start of the year?
I definitely think I did. I'm not one to really look at like stats much, but just being on the court this year, like, the team chemistry is, I mean, you can't replicate that anywhere. The vibes, I guess I'll say, that like the younger group has brought to us older girls, and just like teaching us that it's okay to have like fun. It's not to be all serious out there, and I think that's something that's really helped me improve from years past.
And as they were kind of talking about it at the start of the selection show, a little bit about how much the game has grown, even just last year, the year before. For you as a player, over these years that you've spent at Xavier, how have you seen the sport growing and kind of change maybe how your career has been going with it?
I've definitely seen more of a crowd at our games, that's for sure. And then also just recognition, like, across like school-wide, seeing other people show up at our games. But then over, like, as a whole, just, it's awesome to see the sport itself just getting the recognition that I think it's always deserved. Volleyball, to me, obviously, I'm quite biased, is one of the most fun games I think to watch, and I think people are finally starting to realize that. So it's awesome.
No, the reason I got into sports reporting was I started covering the Purdue volleyball team.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
so like it's one of those things where I just go, oh yes, I want to keep letting everybody know how good this sport is to watch.
Yeah.
And things like that. Is there anything else that you want to add before you guys head up to the NCAA tournament? Anything that you're thinking about this week?
I mean, we're excited. We're ready to get to work. It starts tomorrow. Yeah, we're not done yet.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now Xavier is heading up to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They're in the Pittsburgh side of the bracket. They are going to be playing Michigan to start off the tournament run. Best of luck to them as they go through that. Now let's move over to let's move a little south of Cincinnati. We're heading down to Lexington. The UK Wildcats been on an absolute roll this year. They're 25-2 overall, 15-0 in conference. Perfect season in conference. Their only losses coming to the number 1 Nebraska Cornhuskers, who they played in the second match of the year back in August. You'll remember I brought up that game back in September, right after it had happened when I was talking with Jackson about it. And then they also had a loss to then-ranked number 7 Pittsburgh, who is now one of the number 1 seeds as well. So UK was able to get a number 1 seed in the tournament. It's them, Nebraska, Pittsburgh, and the Texas Longhorns, another team that UK was able to beat twice this year. They defeated Texas at the start of November in Austin 3-0. As well as in the SEC tournament, 3-2. UK is both the regular season SEC champions and the SEC tournament champions. Some huge accomplishments for them. I was able to get a little bit of an insight into what things have been like this year for this team and how they are looking to go towards the future, as well as getting a sit down with Eva Hudson, who's the SEC Player of the Year, as well as Newcomer of the Year, and is right now one of the best outside hitters in the country. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this. You guys are a number 1 seed. You're going to be hosting this first round, playing against Wofford to start off. What was your reaction kind of as you reflect on the season as you're getting this number 1 seed?
A lot of gratitude for being able to coach a group of 14 athletes that are driven like these guys are, and committed to the jersey and the university and people that played before them in the past, and a lot of gratefulness for being in the position that we are. And obviously to be in this position, you have to have a lot of success, and we certainly were able to accomplish that in a lot of different ways since the beginning of August.
And really, August was where I feel like the signs of this team showing how good they were really kicked off. You had that second match to start the season against Nebraska in the Broadway Block Party. I know that was a loss that you probably don't want to always think about, but I watched that game that weekend, and I just thought, oh, this is going to be a team that is very good this year. For you, when you were coming away from that, obviously you're going to reflect on it and go, hey, there's something that we need to change here.
Sure.
What did that match show you to kind of lead you forward through the rest of this season to go undefeated in the conference schedule?
Well, I think the consensus around the country was that Nebraska was a clear number 1 and everyone else was chasing. And so I think, to be honest, it kind of put, perspective on that. And, we knew we had talent. We knew we were going to be capable. We still were not even close yet to finding, what our starting group was and how we were going to play. There are a lot of things to work out. So I think because we felt like there were so many things we needed to improve and work on, that it gave us a lot of belief that we were and could be an elite team, but with plenty of room to grow and improve. And obviously, we gave ourselves a chance to win that match. And when you give yourselves a chance, you got to close the door, and we didn't. So we learned that we weren't ready for that yet either. But it certainly told us a lot about the sport of volleyball and the popularity that it has right now across the country as well. With many people were there and many people watching, all of those things.
And you are the longest tenured coach that I'm going to be talking to in this episode. So I did want to get your reflection on things of how the game has grown, both from a way that the whether it's the way the universities support it to the way that fans are turning out for it over these 21 years that you've been coach of the Wildcats.
Oh man, we could use a whole episode on that. The obviously the level of athletes has grown. I mean, I think we have 8 or 9 players that touch over 10 feet now. Probably my first year at Kentucky, we had a couple. The way we travel, we probably bust 4 or 5 times over 8 hours to and from, places within the league. Now the furthest place we bust is, I guess you're just in a charter airplane a lot of the times, and you're having food, served to you at restaurants. I mean, the resources, the budget has gone significantly up. And then there was no TV. I mean, I think we were on TV once or twice, in the first 5 years that I coach at Kentucky. Now every single match can be seen either on linear television or ESPN app and SEC network. And, so attendance, I mean, I think there's probably 100 people in the stands. My first match at Kentucky, and we just had 6,500 against Tennessee the other day and played, in front of 4,000 neutral site in Savannah that's never really seen volleyball at that level ever in the city's history. So where we are now compared to then, it's really black and white.
And I think one of the benefits of having that national attention is that you're able to show off how good some of these athletes are. I know that Brooklyn and Eva have both been two hitters that are making waves nationally. When, I know that Eva transferred in this year, you've had Brooklyn around for a little bit. What was the signs to you that they were going to mesh so well on the court together?
Well, they initiated some conversations, back once you got in the transfer portal and really hit it off. And so, heard from both of them that, they really felt like their personalities and the way their perspective of the game, what they want to do, we're on in the same ballpark. But I think they have so much respect for each other that they really learn from each other and feed off of each other. And it's a pretty cool thing. I mean, when you have, Brooklyn, who's a first team All-American and National Player of the Year finalist last year, Eva led the Big Ten in kills. I mean, there's just a lot of things to like and respect about that talent, but it's way more than just talent. And, the way they connect on the floor and off the floor is pretty cool for two stars.
And I think another connection that they have is with setter Cassie O'Brien. For her to be, she was SEC Setter of the Year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Freshman of the year, yeah.
Freshman
Yeah.
of the year, excuse me. But to have that display from a freshman to connect with junior, senior that have been working at this game for so long, what was it that how were you as a coach able to help that connection grow between those three?
Well, I think it's still growing, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
And I think that they all realize it. Cassie wants to be better, and Brooklyn and Eva always want more and want more opportunities to be successful. And it hasn't always been smooth. There's certainly a timing, rhythm, tempo, connection piece that has to come along over time. And so there was frustration early. But all three of them are driven relentlessly to get better. And so, for the way we connect with Brooklyn is fast. The way we connect with Eva is a little bit higher. And so Cassie had to learn a lot in a short period of time, and have to give her a lot of credit for developing a relationship with both of them on and off the court to make that thing a go.
Uh, and I wanted to take a second to kind of reflect on the year as a full for you. What is something that maybe at the start of the year wasn't working as well as you would have hoped, that by the time you finished the SEC tournament with that win over Texas, you went, "Oh, this is our big growth this year."
Well, early on in preseason, we had to find more balance in our offense. Even Brooklyn were proven. We had to score more behind the setter. I think in the SEC championship match, we had over 20 kills behind the setter, and that is significant compared to where we were in September. So that's the immediate growth. And then defensively, floor defense, we had to get a lot better. And you've seen, obviously Molly Tuzzo's a credible defender, but Molly Brezowitz as a DS has had some amazing matches. And then, Cassie's had several double-digit digs, and so have Brooklyn and Eva. So when you have 5 players or 6 players that can defend like that, that's a pretty special deal for sure.
Absolutely. Is there any message that you want to send to Wildcat fans who may be considering coming down for the match on Thursday against Wofford?
Oh man, BBN, you got to get your tickets quickly because they're going fast. And listen, I do not want any volleyball fan, a Kentucky fan that hasn't seen this team play live, to miss that chance and opportunity. And we have one more given chance on Thursday. If we're successful, another chance on Friday. If we're lucky enough to advance past the first, second rounds, we have another chance next week. So please don't miss out, Cat fans. Find your tickets, get here. Don't miss that opportunity to see some incredible competitors take the floor.
You put it beautifully. Like I said, I watched that first or the second match against Nebraska, and I went, "This team is going to be special." And then I was down there watching the your match against Houston out on the floor, and I was like, "Oh, this is a different level of the game than I've seen anywhere else." So definitely,
No doubt.
definitely huge for fans to head out there. Coach Craig Skinner, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it, Brad. Have a great day.
You too. Selection Sunday was happening. The whole team's gathered together. What was your first reaction when Kentucky was announced as that 1 seed and you saw you were going to be playing against Wofford to start off the tournament?
I think just a lot of excitement. I mean, this team has been together since January, so this is kind of the moment we've all been working for. And seeing that we're the 1 seed, it's a little kind of like a pat on the back and a little bit of confidence going in because it kind of a little bit of our hard work paying off. But I mean, it's one game at a time now. It's do or die. So a little bit of pressure, but mostly excitement.
You were mentioned on the broadcast quite a few times. Of course, the pairing of you and Brooklyn, one of the, well, arguably the best hitting duo in the country right now. When did that relationship between you and Brooklyn really start off, and when did you guys? They were showing the videos of how in sync you two are when going on the attack. When did you start to feel that connection really building between you two?
Yeah. I mean, I think it started even in the transfer portal. Craig was like, I really want to get you on a phone call with Brooklyn because I knew I'd be working really closely with her. So I was really excited. And it was a really good conversation. We kind of both talked about our goals and they really aligned with one another. So I kind of knew going in that it was going to be a special relationship. And one thing that's really cool is that neither of us really care about the awards, but more about like we both want to win a national championship. And I think that's really hard as two people who have been an established player in a good program. So a little nerves coming in. Because you don't want to step on toes, but she was very welcoming and it all just kind of came natural. Like we never had any like super one-on-one kind of things going on, but we just kind of immediately clicked on the court. And I just think we also are so similar in our humors that kind of clicked. We're very sarcastic, very dry. But then also we're not like the same style player, which is really nice that we can like bounce off of one another. She's definitely a more calm, cool, and collected player, where I'm more show my emotions right on my sleeve. So it's really fun to be able to learn from one another and also make each other better.
I know I've seen plenty of people doing compilations of your reactions after points that you're a fan favorite for sure. Uh,
Thank you.
you mentioned when you the transfer portal and kind of your goals for your time here at Kentucky. What can you share some of those goals and kind of how have you worked to meet them so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, I have goals and aspirations to play after college, wherever that takes me. So I just felt like I wasn't getting, I kind of hit my peak at Purdue, and some things behind the scenes were happening that I wasn't too happy with. So I decided it was time for me to move on. And yeah, I was just looking for someone who had won, and Craig and his program had won a national championship. I know he knows what it takes to get to that level, and then also he has coached people like Avery Skinner, who's on the USA team now, and I knew he could coach me in that and really help me get to that type of play that I want to get to. So that's what I was really looking for, and then also just a program that has all the pieces to make a deep run in the tournament.
Excellent. I wanted to ask a little because I was talking to Coach Skinner just a minute ago about the second match of the year that you guys had against Nebraska. Obviously, that was an early test for your squad that kind of, I wouldn't say all the pieces were perfectly put together to what they were at the end of the SEC tournament. What was one of your big takeaways from that match, and how have you kind of used that to both lead the team and yourself going forward?
Yeah, I mean, going in, honestly, probably one of the most nervous games I had gone into, besides the game before Lipscomb, which I feel like was just kind of like first game jitters. But it really kind of just showed us that even though we didn't have the pieces right and we honestly hadn't even clicked at that point. I mean, Cassie wasn't even setting at that point, which is kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, it just kind of gave us confidence that we could do it and that we are really gritty, and we knew that we were good in practice, but being able to see that on the court so early in the season is a really special thing. And also, Craig's teams just get better as the year goes on, and I think we knew that we had a high ceiling and that that was just the start.
You mentioned Cassie there for a minute, SEC Freshman of the Year. I should also mention you were SEC Player of the Year and Newcomer of the Year. Congratulations on those awards as
Thank you.
well. But for her as a freshman to step in and become such a dominant force to set up both you, Brooklyn, and plenty of others on the team, when did that? How did that relationship start to blossom for you guys?
Yeah, I what's actually funny is I had a class with her in the spring, me and one of the other freshmen, Georgia Watson, just because I had to do some like Kentucky core classes that I didn't have, which is funny. So I started my relationship with her really early on, really, and also kind of bonded that we were both new. So that was something we had in common, and that was really easy to get to know. But she also is just the hardest worker ever, and I really appreciate that in a setter. So I also, knowing that I'm the only senior and have done this a few times, I knew what it would take for a setter to come in and start as a freshman, and I knew she had the pieces. So just honestly, just continuing to build up her confidence and knowing she has the skill. So yeah, I mean, it kind of came naturally and probably just started in the spring.
And of course, that's 6-7 connection that you have going on as well.
Exactly, exactly.
Exactly. And of course, I'd be remiss to not mention the other connection that you had coming into this team, Lizzie Carr also transferring with you.
Yeah.
How much of an influence did she kind of have of drawing you down there as well? I know that her brother played for the men's basketball team. Was that a little bit of a group decision, or more she made her decision and you went, hey, I can also come down here?
Yeah. Uh, no, actually, surprisingly, it was not a group decision, contrary to some people's belief. But she decided. well before me that she was going to transfer, and I'm really happy that it was Kentucky, and I think it's a great fit for her, and it just happened to be a really good fit for me too. And I knew I was able to see what she could do at Purdue, and so I kind of knew what she was going to bring to the team, even if other people didn't. So I'm really excited for her, and so happy that she is absolutely killing it right now. And yeah, no, it honestly was not a group decision. We just happened to be here at the same time, and I couldn't be more happy about it.
That's great. And I was going to say that because I did that you're one of my last interviews, but I've also been talking with Wright State, and I know that your sister is playing on that team as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you saw the Raiders get mentioned on the Selection Sunday show, had a little bit of excitement for her as well. Did you have any kind of message for her that after the show was done?
Yeah, I mean, I texted her during the show.
Yeah.
I just really excited because they didn't make it to the tournament last year. But being able to see her and then also kind of see her on the selection show, like cheering, like that was just so happy for me. And then it's also very funny that they're playing Purdue too, but,
Yeah.
which my family group chat was going off about. But, yeah, no, I'm just so proud of her, and I want her to succeed, and I'll be cheering her on no matter what.
Yeah, I know your mom was an alumni from there, and so I'm sure she'll still be rooting for Wright State in that match. But
She is, she is. Well, at one point in the bracketology, we were playing, or people were saying that we were gonna play Wright State, and so my family group chat thought that was funny, and they were gonna get like half and half shirts. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Do you have any message for fans, supporters who may be considering coming down to Lexington to watch, whether it be the first round against Wofford and assume, all things going well, the second round against the winner of Georgia Tech and UCLA?
Yeah, I'd say tickets are going quick. We would absolutely love for every single person to come down here and cheer us on. We have been so grateful for the people who have showed up in the past few games. I mean, it's something special, and this group is something special, and we hope we can do it for all of you. And go Cats!
Hey, go Cats.
Go Cats!
Eva, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And so, with that number one seed, UK is going to be hosting to start out the tournament. They are going to be playing against Wofford at 7 p.m. In Lexington on Thursday. Then they will be playing the winner of Georgia Tech versus UCLA, with the expectation that they will move on after beating Wofford. Let's keep things in Kentucky. We're heading over to Louisville. 24-6 record overall. It is a 16-4 in conference. Tough end of the season so far. Their losses came 2-3 against Texas in Fort Worth during the Shriners Children's Showdown at the Net. The other losses came to Kentucky 3-2 at home in Louisville, and they lost to SMU 3-2, Pittsburgh 3-2. Kind of the story of the season with that Pittsburgh Panthers team, along with then most recently this last weekend a 3-0 sweep by Pittsburgh over the Cardinals in Pittsburgh, and then a home loss to Stanford 3-2 on Saturday right before Selection Sunday. So I was able to talk with the head coach, get a little bit of an idea about how things are going so far on this team, and let's go ahead and take a listen to that. A number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, that this is a program that has achieved a lot, especially in the last decade or so. What are your initial reactions from the seeding and that side of the bracket that you're on?
Yeah, we're super proud of the season we had. We played some great matches, battled against some great teams, won some and lost some, and got better throughout the year. So that's the biggest thing. We're very fortunate. We put ourselves in a situation where we get to host the first 2 rounds. We've had good success hosting and not hosting regionals, so we're not scared to hit the road. And there's a lot of work to do before we get the opportunity to do that with the great teams that we have coming here. But initial thoughts is, we're just super proud of the season that we had and the growth that we've had, and we feel like our best volleyball is ahead of us.
What are some of the ways that when you look back at the start of the year versus your more recent matches like against Stanford and Pitt to close out the season, what are the biggest changes that you've seen from your lineup, whether it be growth or just
Yeah, our
adapting
lineup
strategy?
hasn't changed a ton. Kind of how things played out in 2 days is kind of how the season played out and the performances we got from people that are in starting spots. And so we had people, fill in roles in different situations, but for the most part, our lineup stayed pretty similar. So we found offense from a lot of different people. I think that's the biggest thing is, we've seen throughout the year, I think 4 or 5 different players lead us in kills in big matches. So we feel really good about just the variety that we can throw at teams with our offense. And then again, just the growth that we've seen individually and as a team, just from multiple players that are in, new roles and new starting roles and new positions at the beginning of the year. They're now, close to seasoned veterans.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big offseason transfer stories was Chloe coming to join you. In what way has that offensive skill that she offers the team made a difference for you, you feel?
Yeah, she's a great player. She's killed a lot of balls in big moments, and she was kind of a complimentary role at Purdue, and it feels like more matches than not, she's kind of been the arm that we rely on. So I just think she's a very seasoned player. She's a great passer. One of our best servers now. She's improved a ton on the block. I mean, she just does everything well. So I think she's just kind of an overall, just as an overall competitor. She's been a great piece for us when we lost so much last year. You're kind of trying to figure out what your identity is going to be each year. And I think she's really stepped up and kind of, from a competition standpoint, helped us with our identity in that regard.
Absolutely. And I'd be remiss to ask, you're the number 2 seed in the Nebraska region. Danny Buscombe Kelly, of course, the head coach at Louisville before you took over this year. Uh, Being able to face off against, the former head coach, what does that kind of bring to the way that you prepare and things like that?
I mean, there's 2 big mountains between both of us before that would
Of
ever
course,
happen. So
of
we haven't
course.
spent much time thinking about it, to be honest. Like I said, we're really proud of the season we had, and we put ourselves in a great situation to get a great seed. The number 8 seed overall, a top 10 seed, hosting the first 2 rounds. We did a lot to get ourselves to that situation, so we want to build off of that and kind of take it match by match. So, like I said, I mean, as far away as they are in the bracket, it is basically a whole nother season between the potential of the opportunity for something like that to even arise. So we haven't spent very much energy at all on that to this point.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Uh, I know signing day was just recently. Do you want to share a little bit about incoming students and things like that?
Yeah, maybe not anybody in particular, but I think it's probably the most decorated recruiting class we've ever had. I think like the success you talked about the past decade, it takes a while for it to catch up to the type of recruits that you can get to enter your program. So I think we've got probably the most decorated class that we've had probably ever. I think this year our class was maybe ranked 4 or 5 in the country. This one might has a chance to be even higher. So yeah, we're just really stoked about the caliber of athlete that's coming into our program. I think one of the biggest things is, most of these, if not all of these recruits come with the goal of wanting to have an opportunity to represent our country in the national team or play pro. And it's cool. We have new this year. We have a hallway of pros, and it's a bunch of pro jerseys that former players have sent back that we framed, and it's the whole hallway walking into the gym. And I feel like this recruiting class, we pretty much have every player sees themselves as a future jersey on the wall.
And that kind of sets me up to ask you a little bit more about the pro scene and how you've seen it grow, especially in these last few years. I know that we have MLV this year, LOVB league, but both just the international side of things and now here at home. How does that affect the way that your players are looking towards their future as pros?
Yeah, I think I don't know how much it's changed things, but the fact that when you're in college volleyball, you know that's the end of the road for so many players when you don't have an American pro league. Like going overseas based on where your life is at, what you want to do is a very hard thing for a 22-year-old graduate of college to take on. So very few people were doing that. Where now with the leagues in the United States, there's so many great players that get to extend their career We need to get one pro league. I don't know who needs to get in a room and figure that out, but the two pro leagues it's good that we have pro, but that's not good for pro. So I hope that this year or next is the year that kind of figures that out where we can get to one pro league because it's confusing to fans. It doesn't bring in, there's already so many volleyball fans that are helping support it. But, to be a successful pro league, you need to bring in the casual fan. And two pro leagues is confusing. I don't even get it sometimes, and this is what I do for a living.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I credit MLV for being like, hey, it's a team, like it's a city and a name.
It's a very
LOVB,
American pro
like,
sports model. Love is not.
Yeah.
And I find myself explaining what they are more than like how good they are. It's more of explaining what they even are before you even get to the quality of it or any of that.
It's just one where I go, well, there's a lot of national team players that play for that league, and
Yeah.
people go, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add? Whether it be looking forward towards the tournament, anything to fans out there as well?
No, I think the biggest thing for us is we're super proud of the season that we had. We did an excellent job to get the number 8 seed overall, be hosting the first 2 rounds, and feel like your best volleyball is ahead of you. We've seen glimpses of it. We've had so many different people lead us in kills. We've had so many different areas of the game that we've excelled at. We've had a match where we've won it with our block. We've had a match where we've won it with our serve. We've had a match where we've won it with a great arm. We have so many different ways that we can be successful. I think the tournament is such a great time to put those pieces together and see your best volleyball. And it really, really feels like that's kind of what's on the horizon for this group. And it's a really fun group to be around. That's the biggest thing. We're at the end of the year, and it's flown by because the group that we have is just so fun to be around.
That's great to hear, and best of luck facing off against Loyola to start off the tournament.
Appreciate it. Thanks again for the coverage. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Number 2 seed Selection Sunday, playing against Loyola to start off the NCAA tournament. How are you feeling heading into the NCAA tournament this year?
I'm feeling great. I think that we're all really excited. I mean, we get to play the first 2 rounds at home, which is obviously such a big advantage. And we worked really hard to earn that spot, top 16 seed. And I think we're excited no matter who we're playing. We're just going to get after it and, take it one game at a time. So,
as you've been playing over the course of this year, what kind of goals did you set for yourself when you started the season, and as you're getting here now, looking back at like a regular season goal type thing, do you feel like you've been growing and accomplishing what you've been hoping to do in your career so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I obviously wanted to win the libero jersey, so that was a huge goal for me. And I've been like so blessed with my teammates and my coaches just building confidence in me in that position throughout this season. And I feel like as a team, like we just wanted to make the most out of every game and be present in every game and just enjoy our time together because, you only have the same group of kids for one season. So, I mean, obviously we wanted to win the ACC and we didn't get that goal, but I feel like we still have a very good chance of going so far in the tournament and still winning a national championship. So I think that that's still our goal, and we're going to work as hard as we can to get there.
Of course, you came close to it last year with finishing second behind Penn State. When you were coming into this year, what was the vibe like with the team? What was it? Locked in focus? Let's get to this. We know we can get there again.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it was. I mean, we have a lot of new pieces on the team, so I think that we were all just hungry to get on the court together, which was honestly a great feeling. It's like fresh, new, like group on the court together. We had some transfers, obviously, kids stepping up into new positions, but I feel like we've meshed really well, and we're all still just as hungry as we were at the beginning of the season for that national championship. So we're excited that our kind of third section of the season is finally here, that tournament time, and we're ready. So
yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, because I know you're a junior, you still have one more year left. For you, winning that libero jersey, that position is so important, as it's arguably like setter, libero, or like quarterbacks in a way. For you, growing as a voice on the court, as a leader, what has been the best way for you to kind of reach that goal for yourself?
Yeah, I think at the libero position in general, we're kind of like, it's like an energy giving position. And I feel like that's really where I strive in a leadership position. Like I just like to give my energy to other people on the court. I like to hype people up, just, constantly communicating and just kind of just bring the vibes to the court, good vibes all around. And I think that that instills confidence in everyone else, and they instill confidence in me just by doing the same thing. And I think that everyone on our team is a leader in a different way, and we've all really embraced our roles this year. And it's just been great to see. And I think that we have a great group of girls on the court and off the court in just every position, and everyone is a leader in their own way,
Yeah. Uh, I know that you went to Notre Dame Academy. Kind
Mhm.
of looking back on your time there, obviously you've had a couple of years of growth working in the
Yeah.
college system. It's a little bit different, but what were some things that you were able to take away from your time in high school that you're able to bring now to the Cardinals?
Yeah. I mean, everything. Like I learned so much there, just like from a school standpoint and a volleyball standpoint, just like teamwork, hard work. Like I just feel they really instill that in you from your freshman year, and um, you know, goal setting, things like that. And I just feel like everyone wanted to win so bad on the volleyball court. And I also think that that helped my leadership skills build so much too, especially my last 2 years there. Going into college, I felt like I really had stepped into a leadership role, and I felt like just the camaraderie of the team was amazing, and just the school in general. Like it's just such a great community, and I learned so much there, and I will forever be grateful for my time there. It's just an amazing atmosphere and community there, and um, I'm proud to be called an alum of Notre Dame Academy, of course, but I think that they really taught me a lot of stuff coming into college, and they helped prepare me very well for the opportunities that I've had.
Absolutely. I love that. Is there anything that you want to add? Any message to fans back here in the Cincinnati area uh, who may be considering coming down and watching a match this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say we really appreciate all the support, and I love everyone that's watching. I really appreciate it, and just all the support that I've gotten online from people at home, people anywhere. Um, it's just so greatly appreciated, and it's awesome to see like all these little girls in Cincinnati like loving volleyball, watching volleyball, and reaching out to me and seeing them when I go home. It's just amazing. So thank you for the support. Continue to cheer us on as we go into the tournament, and yeah.
And actually that just set me up a little bit to follow up with. You mentioned having these younger girls looking up to you. I'm sure when you were playing in high school, you're able to look up to other college players as well.
Mhm.
Now with also the growth of the professional side of things, how much of an impact do you see that having on the next generation of players who are going to be following in your footsteps?
Yeah, I mean, volleyball as a whole is just growing so much as a sport. Like, I feel like every single year it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I feel like with the new pro leagues in the US, it's growing even more because now these kids can be like, oh, well, I can do this as a profession. I can play this even beyond college. Like, you think college is a goal, it's like, well, now you can make pro your goal. So it's just really awesome to see, and just how the sport has grown and made all these little kids like fall in love with it, and like it's just amazing. I mean, I ran a camp at Notre Dame last year with my friend Sydney, who plays at Cincinnati, but um, it was just amazing, the turnout like of those young kids like wanting to learn volleyball and learn from us, which is just we love it so much.
Some names to look out for when it comes to the Louisville Cardinals. Jessica Drapp played at Mercy McCauley here in Cincinnati, is from Cincinnati, Ohio, as well as Camden Strand played for Notre Dame Academy on the Cardinals side of things. They are going to be playing Loyola University Chicago. Start out their round. That is on Friday. The first match that they're going to be hosting is Western Kentucky versus Marquette. That'll be at 4 p.m. That Louisville Loyola game will be right after, about 30 minutes after that game. So if you want to make the trip down to either of those hosting sites, they are just nearby. Another team that is moving on within a short travel distance is the Wright State. Wright State ended up winning the Horizon League tournament over NKU this year. Sweep in the tournament, 3-0 over the Norse. They are able to go on to play at Purdue. It'll be a tough matchup for them. A few of the key wins and losses this year did lose to Robert Morris in Northern Kentucky in the regular season, a loss to Milwaukee. But when you have a tournament that decides who's the automatic qualifier, that is always going to be where you got to show up at the most. And that they did show up in Truist Arena on November 23rd, and were able to beat the Norse and lock in that spot. So I was able to talk with the coach, get a little bit of an idea about how things are going for them this year. Let's go ahead and take a listen back. Looking back on this year, finished 21-10, ended up coming in second in the Horizon League in the standings, but was able to win the Horizon League tournament. I know this is what your fourth, I'm trying to do math, fourth year as head coach with Wright State. Also technically your first year not being in first in the Horizon League heading into the tournament. Did that kind of change how you approached the tournament this year?
Yeah, in terms of the conference tournament, I mean, I think it was a new experience for us. The previous 3 seasons, we were fortunate to, the way that our conference does it is if you win the regular season, you get to host the conference tournament. And so I remember my first year, we had such a great year. That year, I was talking to one of the other coaches in the Horizon League, and I just didn't know enough at the time, but they were just talking to me about what it was like hosting and different things like that. And I was like, yeah, this is great. We get to play on our home floor. We're in our offices and sleep in our own bed and all that stuff. And he was like, well, I personally like to do it on the road because I can get them in a hotel room and kind of keep them all together and do all this kind of stuff. And I was like, and then after he started saying that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. There's definitely, just like with anything, there's pros and cons to everything. But I think it's just how we view a lot of that. Our team, I think, was excited to go on the road for the conference tournament. I think at some level, we have high expectations in our program to be able to compete in the NCAA tournament, win championships, all that kind of stuff. And, that comes with a element of pressure, but certainly hosting it. I think sometimes, that adds more to it, whether that's from a pressure standpoint for student athletes or whatever. But I think our team, when we entered the conference tournament, I could tell really early on that we were in a good place from whether it's a mental standpoint or just how we were approaching it, and just kind of keeping things, enjoying our time first and foremost, and just playing free, and just understanding that it's just a game of volleyball. I think, a lot of times when you put that extra burden and pressure, you become someone that you're not necessarily who you are. And so I was really proud of our group and how they, just their approach this past year in the conference tournament.
You had a lot of tough matchups in the non-conference as well, including number 1 Nebraska and now number 1 seed Pittsburgh. Obviously those kinds of matches are going to be challenging, not just for any school, arguably across the country. For you and your team, what kind of lessons were you able to take away from playing those high-profile matches that you're now going to be able to take into this first round where you're facing off with Purdue?
Yeah, I mean, we're really intentional in how we do our non-conference, and we want to create some of those experiences for our student athletes to play against some really tough, challenging teams that are going to kind of stretch us outside of our comfort zone. And then also, I mean, another goal of that is when we have the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, or if we have the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, that we've had some experience, just one in the environment that is in, and then against, some similar characteristics that those teams, typically present and have. I think our team, it's sometimes in general, we play a lot of those matches. I've never questioned in my time here with our program. We rise to the occasion of those kind of matches. I mean, there's certainly a level of excitement and just to be able to push yourself as a competitor and as a team. So I know in those matches that we're going to give it everything that we possibly have. And but then I think you walk away with it with different lessons. Like if you're able to hang and you're able to execute in certain areas, like that gives you some confidence that you can do it. In 2023, we played Louisville early in the season, and then we ended up playing them in the NCAA tournament, and we played a very competitive two matches. Were very competitive against them, and then it's once you start kind of understanding that you belong in that environment, then it's the next step of like how can we not only just compete but also go in with the expectation that we can also win. And I think sometimes as as an underdog program or an underdog in a certain match or competition, like sometimes you sell yourself short in that. You certainly can play to it, and it lessens maybe the pressure, and you just kind of play free, like I was talking about earlier. But you also have to understand that you have the ability to win those matches too, and just kind of how we approach those. And I think once you get into those experiences a little bit more, it helps our athletes get a little more comfortable in that environment.
And you kind of mentioned being an underdog heading into those environments over this last couple years now, where we're seeing NIL get introduced and kind of changing the way that I think coaches in all sports approach building a roster and the transfer portal and things like that. For you as a coach over these last 4 years, how have you had to kind of change and adapt to those adjustments and changes just in how you recruit and bring players into your program?
Yeah, I don't know if we're fortunate or unfortunate. Some of that really hasn't affected us a lot, and maybe it's just because I think just in general, like when you're running a program, you have to understand some people are going to have things that you don't, and what do you do have, leverage those as much as you possibly can, and not make excuses for the things that you might not have, right? And so I think it maybe has changed in certain ways on how we operate certain things. But I haven't noticed as much of an impact with our recruiting and different things of that nature in the landscape. And now that might change certainly, as we get further and further along in that space. But I still think regardless if you have the means to do some of that stuff, like the things that are important are still true and relevant in terms of I think our student athletes, I came from, it was, 4 or 5 years ago, power conference program. And so I understand, some of the resources that those kind of programs have available. But I wouldn't say that our student athletes experience is any different than, what the players and experiences that when I was involved at the power conference. And I think that's something that we're really trying to execute and hit as a coaching staff is, how can we provide the same level of experience to our student athletes, maybe with maybe limited resources, maybe limited staff, different things like that. So that way we can still help develop our players and help grow them as people. I mean, I think those things are always going to be true no matter what the landscape is in college athletics.
Yeah, and I imagine it helps a little bit being in the Midwest, where you are in arguably a hotbed of talent at the high school level. I grew up in Fort Wayne. I know you have a couple of players from there. Plenty of talent coming out of Cincinnati and the surrounding area that's gone to Xavier. There's a lot of schools in the area that are also fighting for those recruits and things like that. But I think even if you don't get the number one target, you have somebody who is coming in with talent that you as a coach are able to develop and help build into a better player who wants to commit to your program.
Yeah, I mean, this region, I think it's no secret. It's a big reason for our success because we don't have to go far to find really quality players, and it's also a region that that has a lot of just in different areas of the game, especially like passing, ball control, those areas of the game that are super impactful in increasing your chances to win. There's just no shortage of that. And so it helps us if we have, more of a limited resources from a recruiting standpoint, like we can stretch those resources quite far in this region, be able to get to certain players and things of that nature. And I think also like as as our program has developed and achieved certain things, I think players also want the opportunity to compete at the highest level they possibly can. So you kind of alluded to our non-conference schedule. We're going to play some really good teams that gives that our athletes an opportunity to do that. And it's you can't find there's not an unlimited amount of places that provide student athletes opportunities to win championships as well. And so people that are looking and striving for that, and I think they're kind of drawn to some of the programs here in this region that offer that.
I imagine the growth of the professional side of things in North America, not even just in North America, in America specifically, Indianapolis, Columbus, Grand Rapids, all having teams now that are nearby. For you as a coach, there was a long time where college was that final step. Maybe somebody went international afterwards, but there's only so many international spots as well that are then being competed for across the globe. Having those teams, that ability for a next step for the women that come through your program, do you feel like that helps not only just help your program but also helps the game of volleyball and influence like future generations?
Yeah, without question. I think we probably haven't fully seen the impact that that's going to have. I think that's going to be, like you kind of said, I think there's some generations, down the pipeline that I think we'll start to see even more and more of an interest in that space. But I will, share, I think we have, in my coaching career, I've had a handful of players that have aspired to play professionally. I think sometimes, before, there was opportunities to play in the domestically here in the US, like it was just a different lifestyle and people just didn't really connect and understand that could have been an opportunity for them. And I think it limited it, people's view and desire to pursue that as a career. Even in the short term period, like I said, I don't think we've seen the full impact of it. I've already started to notice like some players here in our program that have expressed interest to play professionally, that had those leagues not been prevalent here in the U.S. I don't know if that would still be the case just because of different things, whether being close to family or things of that nature, that is just a different environment if you go abroad internationally. So yeah, I mean, extremely grateful. Lots of hard work has gone into it, but I think it's also a huge recognition on just the growth of our sport and where the sport of volleyball can go.
Awesome. Any other final thoughts? Any message to fans out there who may be listening?
No, I mean, I think we've really appreciated all of our support that we've had, and we have a really strong following for our volleyball program. But yeah, I mean, I think our season this year, I mean, I've been very proud of the resiliency of our group. Like you kind of mentioned earlier, we have high expectations here, and I think as you go through a lot of a season and there's adversity, we had some injuries and things of that nature. It really tests the makeup of the group. I know it tested me as a coach and just how we navigate a lot of that stuff. And while you're in the moment, you don't really know fully like the actions that you're taking in those moments, how it leads to the outcome of where you get to go. But again, really proud of our team because I mean, there's things that we do as a coaching staff to help navigate that, but at the end of the day, our student athletes are the ones that are solely responsible for some of the actions that they do and steps that they take in place to put in the work. And extremely proud of everything that they did. It's definitely an experience that we're really grateful to have coming up here because we've worked really hard to earn it.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for your time, Coach, and best of luck heading into the tournament.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you.
Sunday night, when you're sitting and watching the selection show, what was going through your head when the Wright State's name came up as you guys are going to be heading up to West Lafayette to face off with Purdue?
Yeah, the selection show is always super exciting. I feel like even when you know your name's gonna be called, there's still like a little bit of like that excitement and like jitteriness. So we were all super excited that we're gonna be not too far, but still get to go play a really big and cool opponent.
I was at Xavier while they were gathering for their selection, and one of the players I heard say, I was like, I don't really worry about, am I going to make it? Am I not? Are we not going to make it? That's whatever. She's like, I just don't want to. I just want to know when they're going to announce us.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to sit here and wait all day.
right.
So let's talk a little bit about this year so far. You guys had a great showing in the Horizon League tournament, came away as the champions, second place in the Horizon League overall. For you as a player, coming into this season, what were some of your goals that you wanted to reach? And we'll look at it from a regular season point of view. Where you think you were able to reach them so far?
Yeah, just with it being my senior season, my last season here, I wanted to go out and win the Horizon League championship. So we didn't win the regular season, but it was really cool to go into the tournament, and I think we played some of our best volleyball that weekend. So I'm really excited to be able to go to the NCAA tournament now in my last season. So it was definitely, I think we had some ups and downs throughout the regular season, but we got through it, and like I said, I think we played some of our best volleyball that last weekend.
For you as a player, looking back even further than your conference play, the non-conference schedule that you guys had, arguably one of the toughest for any team in the country to
Right.
have to go up against. In those games against teams like Nebraska, like Pitt, who are now one seeds, also getting a huge win over Ohio State, the difference in those conferences and things like that. And of course, just being right down the road. What is that experience, not only for you, in your senior year, but for the other members of the team who are going to be coming back next year? How does that, how do those kinds of matches, build you as a player?
Yeah, I think it makes you tougher, especially from like an attacking standpoint, like just staying aggressive against those big teams that just have a big block up there and are just super physical. But for younger players, yeah, I'd say it gives them some confidence. And next year when they're playing tough opponents, they'll be prepared and ready and just feel good going into the match. I also think it's good for them going into the NCAA tournament playing a big team like Purdue to just have that experience.
This is your senior year. How have you been trying to step up further as whether it be a leader or just an influence on the rest of the squad? That's
Yeah, I think I've just really tried to make sure that the team's kind of just enjoying the experience because I feel like it flew by for me. I remember when I was a freshman, but I feel like it just flew by and it was really quick. So just trying to get everyone to appreciate like every moment and enjoy the time that you have here and the time you have together with this team is really special. So I feel like that's kind of how I've stepped up as a leader is to more so like the morale standpoint of the team and yeah, just trying to enjoy this last season and um, get everyone also excited and motivated for their next year too, and just being able to go to the NCAA tournament. I hope we have a pretty young team, so that I hope that gives them motivation to work hard next year and get back there as well.
and now you didn't go too far away from home when you were picking college. What kind of influence did your time at Turpin have on how you are as a player, as a leader today?
Yeah, I think at Turpin, my head coach Kathy Carboy, she just really like instilled toughness in us and just having that mindset to just go out and attack it every day. And I feel like coming to college, I've kind of had that mindset and just working hard every day and leaving it all on the court and having no regrets.
Do you have any message for fans, for family, friends that are supporting you back here in Cincinnati as you guys are heading over towards the tournament now?
Yeah, just thank you for all the support and for watching us and like staying along with us in our journey. So thank you and go Raiders.
Hey, go Raiders. They are going to be the first match on Thursday at Purdue in West Lafayette. You can watch those games on ESPN Plus. Also, just a short drive up there to the Boilermakers, who we will also talk about in just a moment, because I do want to expand this beyond just the within an hour of the tri-state. We're going to talk about all 3 states and really go a little bit more in depth for once this year. I wanted to give a shout out to the MAC champions, the Toledo Rockets. They ended up winning the MAC tournament. This is their first appearance in the NCAA tournament ever. They are going to be playing at number 4 Indiana. They're going to be in Bloomington, another close matchup if you wanted to go and check out those games. The Rockets finished 23-10 overall, 11-7 in conference. Had a 4-game winning streak to end out the season. Some notable wins was they split a series with Miami this year. They were able to sweep Northern Illinois, some losses to Ball State, as well as wins over Ohio and Bowling Green, that classic rivalry with them. And in the MAC tournament, they faced Miami first, 3-2, and then were able to beat the number 1 seed Ball State 3-2 before moving on to Western Michigan, where they won 3-1 up in Bowling Green. Some names that you may recognize: Mariah Gaines, she's a freshman, went to Roger Bacon, as well as Sydney Crawley is a defensive specialist freshman. She went to Seton High School. Moving on down the road here, that is going to be it for names that you may recognize on that Rockets squad and are from the area. And like I said, they're going to be playing the number 4 Indiana Hoosiers. We will talk about them also in just a moment, because let's move things over to the third state in the tri-state, Indiana. Now, there are 2 teams representing the Big Ten from Indiana Hoosiers, Purdue Boilermakers. Purdue finished 24-6 overall this year, 15-5 in conference. It's always tough to win in the Big Ten. Their losses this year, some notable wins came over Tennessee to start off the season at the Broadway Block Party, a loss to Georgia Tech in the Stacey Clark Classic early on, but were able to upset Kansas. Were able to upset SMU when they were both in Lexington. They were able to as well get wins over UCLA, USC while traveling out in California. Were swept by Nebraska, but won both of their matches against Indiana. One in Indianapolis at Gainsbridge Fieldhouse, the first volleyball match ever played there, as well as the win to end the season in Mackey this last weekend. Both those wins came 3-1. Some other losses included Minnesota, Wisconsin, a tough one to Oregon early on in November. Now, Purdue is going to be hosting Wright State. As it stands right now, there's no Cincinnati players from Purdue. Dave Shondell has been the coach there for a long time. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I worked with the Purdue volleyball team when I started out in sports reporting. He's a great coach, great person to talk to. It'll be interesting to see how they play out against Wright State. I think it'll be a good match, but if I'm going to pick a side, I'd expect Purdue to be moving on after they host that first match. And let's move to the other team that we had already mentioned, Indiana Hoosiers, hosting Toledo on Thursday about 5:30 p.m. Their overall record this year, 23-7, 14-6 in conference. That is another similar story to what Xavier did this year. A big turnaround after a 15-15 season last year, 8-12 in conference. To have that kind of adjustment made. That includes wins over a Miami, Florida team that was receiving votes at the time. A Western Kentucky, they did lose to Western Kentucky early on in the non-conference, but were able to beat USC and UCLA as ranked teams while out in California, as well as losses to Minnesota, wins over Penn State, number 19 Penn State at the time, lost to Wisconsin, able to beat Oregon, losses to Nebraska. But yeah, so that is a huge turnaround for them. Congratulations to the Hoosiers for that this year. Quick skim through. Again, that's a 2-hour drive over to to Bloomington if you want to catch that match. Luca Fickle is a name you may recognize. She's a junior setter for the Hoosiers, played at St. Ursula Academy, as well as, and that'll be it for local players from the Hoosiers. Again, that match is about 5:30, hosting Toledo. And lastly, to round things out, we'll take a look over at the rest of Kentucky, where the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, they are returning to the NCAA tournament this year. As far as I know, we do have Abby Schaefer from Walton, Kentucky, went to St. Henry, along with Olivia Skidmore, who went to St. Henry from Florence, Kentucky. So a couple local names that you may recognize. They're going to be playing in Louisville. They are the 8th seed, playing against Marquette to start off the season, or to start off the tournament. Finished 27-5, 15-1, and were able to win the CUSA championship this year, winning over New Mexico State, Kennesaw State, and Florida International University. Now that match is going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central in Louisville on Friday against Marquette. So a number of great matchups in this tournament this year. If you haven't checked out college volleyball at this point, I'm hoping that just this little bit of a guide, a little bit of words. I should also mention, because we've already covered her earlier this season, Brooke Baltima with the Kentucky Wildcats, another name that is local that you may recognize. So, a lot of local ties to these teams, to the tournament. Definitely something that you're going to want, if you got the time, if it's on TV, I always recommend checking it out and supporting these athletes, because it is an exciting sport that, as many of them have said in these interviews, it's a great sport to watch and a wonderful time to be had. So that is all that we have for this extra time, this overtime episode of 19 on the Clock. Thank you all for joining me. As always, the normal episode will come back this week, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast feed, follow the YouTube, and have this. You can also bookmark our Fox19 website page. All ways that you can get these easily to your inbox and to your feeds. So thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.